The sky above the outpost burned red. Every few minutes, the dying star pulsed, like a giant slowing heartbeat. Each flare painted the metallic ground in deep crimson, washing over towers of alien design, all humming softly with fading energy. Ethan Cross stood alone on the observation deck, staring into that pulsing light. He had lived here for 3 years. 3 long, silent years since Sarana Valthier, the alien who had once called this place home, left on her final mission. The air smelled faintly of ozone and dust. The hum of the generators was the only sound keeping him company. He didn't expect the transmission when it came. A soft chime broke the silence. A voice followed, warm, calm, and familiar. "If you are hearing this, Ethan." "I'm gone. Keep my world alive," Sarana's voice. He froze. The sound of her name still hurt, even after all this time. Her voice came from the main console, a message locked deep in her data archives. "I know you will try to find me," the voice continued. "Don't. My path ends where yours must begin." Then the recording cut off. No coordinates. No goodbye, just static. Ethan stared at the console, the light of the red star reflecting in his eyes. "You always loved your riddles, didn't you?" he whispered. He played the message again. And again. Each time it ended the same way, with silence that felt heavier than words. Outside, through the glass walls, he saw the flare intensify. The star swelled and spat out arcs of plasma that stretched across the void. Somewhere near that burning light, a tiny silver speck was falling toward it, Sarana's ship. He watched the readings on the screen drop. Velocity increasing. No life signs aboard. Then the signal vanished into the storm of solar radiation. She was gone. He stood there for a long time, listening to the hum of the outpost. Finally, he walked to the storage bay and pulled out a small crystalline sphere, the memory core. The last piece of her. Inside it were years of research, thoughts, and dreams Sarana had shared with him. He carried it out to the observation platform, knelt, and began to dig into the hard, cold soil. When the hole was deep enough, he placed the core gently inside. "You taught me how to build life," he murmured. "Now I'll keep it alive." He sealed the ground over it and stood, staring into the red horizon. For a moment, everything was still, peaceful. Then, the sky trembled. The star flared again, but this time it wasn't natural. Ethan's console beeped rapidly. He ran back inside, his hands flying across the controls. 3 signatures, 3 ships, all approaching fast. The screen displayed their emblems, a silver sigil shaped like a spiral star. He recognized it instantly. The Valther clan, Sarana's family. Ethan frowned. They had never come here before. In fact, Sarana had told him they wouldn't. The Valther considered this world cursed, an exile's tomb. So why now? He zoomed in on the radar. The ships were massive, war-class cruisers, not research vessels. His stomach tightened. He activated the outpost's external cameras. Through the dust clouds, he could see their silhouettes forming, dark, curved hulls glowing with blue light. They were coming straight toward him. Ethan took a step back from the console, his mind racing. He remembered the warning in Sarana's voice. "Keep my world alive." Alive from what? He moved quickly through the corridors, activating defense drones and sealing bulkheads. The outpost had some old security systems, but they were weak, designed for meteor strikes, not invasions. He looked out the window again. The first ship was descending. Plasma trails cut across the red sky like burning veins. Dust storm winds howled as the ship's shadow fell over the outpost. The ground shook violently. Ethan gripped the railing, heart pounding. A transmission crackled through his speakers, alien language, sharp and commanding. He recognized a few words. Human. Trespasser. "Return what is not yours," he frowned. "Return what?" he muttered. Then it hit him. The memory core. The ground sensors blinked red. The ships were deploying landing pods. Dozens of them. Ethan ran back to the vault chamber, the place where Sarana's technology pulsed like a sleeping heart beneath the floor. The lights glowed faintly as he entered, scanning his face. "Welcome, Ethan Cross," said the AI in Sarana's voice. He stopped. Serana? This facility recognizes you as Keeper. A chill ran through him. She had planned this. She had made him the outpost's guardian. But if her clan found out, he opened the control panel and activated the shield grid. Blue light spread across the surface of the outpost like a dome. Moments later, the first alien pod slammed into it and burst apart in a wave of fire. Ethan staggered back as the alarm screamed. "Warning," the AI said. "Multiple hostiles detected. Power at 42%. He looked up through the observation glass. 3 more ships were now in orbit, their weapon arrays glowing. He whispered, "Serana, what did you leave me in the middle of?" Then the power flickered. The shield weakened, then held again. Barely. He stared at the horizon. The alien landing craft were moving through the storm like shadows, glowing eyes cutting through the dust. Ethan tightened his grip on the control lever, sweat rolling down his temple. "They're coming," he muttered. He glanced at the buried core, his last connection to her. He could almost hear Serana's voice in the hum of the machines. "Do not let them take it." Outside, thunder rolled as the alien ships formed a circle above him. The red star pulsed again, brighter than before, like the world itself was holding its breath. Ethan looked up at the burning sky, jaw set. "If it's me they want," he said softly, "they'll have to earn it." And as the storm swallowed the horizon, the first alien drop pod broke through the clouds, coming straight for him. To be continued in Part 2. The arrival. The ground shook again. Ethan Cross steadied himself as the outpost's walls rattled under another impact. The alien drop pods were landing, closer this time. Each crash echoed across the valley like thunder. Through the dust-streaked window he could see them, dark, insect-like ships with glowing blue veins spreading across their hulls. They hit the ground, hissed open, and released soldiers in silver armor, the Valthyr Serana's people. But these weren't explorers or scientists. They were warriors. Each one carried a plasma rifle, their eyes hidden behind sleek helmets shaped like blades. Their movements were sharp, disciplined, too perfect to be anything but military. Ethan's pulse quickened. The AI's voice spoke through the intercom, calm but urgent. 17 hostiles detected within 1 kilometer. Shield integrity at 39%. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. "Can we boost power from the secondary reactor?" "Reactor output is unstable. Overload risk 78%, he gritted his teeth. "Do it anyway." The lights flickered as the backup reactor kicked in. The hum of energy deepened, and the shimmering blue shield outside strengthened for a brief moment, just as another plasma bolt struck it. The impact sent a tremor through the control room. Sparks burst from a nearby console. Ethan ducked behind the panel and cursed under his breath. "Serana, what did you get me into?" He remembered her laugh, soft and distant, from a time when the outpost was full of life and sound. Now there was only him and her ghosts. Outside, the Valthyr soldiers moved through the storm in formation, scanning the outpost's perimeter. One of them raised a glowing gauntlet. The leader's armor shone with gold markings, the symbol of high command. She was taller than the rest. Her helmet had a single curved horn at the top. When she spoke, her voice carried through the storm, strong, cold, commanding. "Human," she called out, her words clear through the translator. "By order of Clan Valthyr, you occupy sacred ground. Surrender and return what is ours." Ethan stood by the window, hands clenched into fists. Sacred ground? This was Serana's lab. She made it. He pressed the comm switch. "If you mean her work, it's safe. I'm keeping it alive, like she asked." For a moment, there was silence. Then, the alien leader replied, voice sharper this time. "You, a human? You dare claim her legacy?" The soldiers raised their weapons. Blue energy flickered along their barrels. Ethan exhaled slowly. "Guess that's a yes." He ran to the lower level, passing glowing alien consoles and the faint hum of machines Serana had once used to study stellar energy. Every corridor reminded him of her patience, her strange curiosity. Her way of calling him Young One, even though she was barely older in human years. He reached the security bay and grabbed a small pulse rifle. an outdated model from Serana's old experiments. It wasn't much, but it was better than nothing. AI, he said. Lock down the east and west gates. Focus all shields on the main entry. Acknowledged. The heavy blast doors slid shut across the compound, sealing him inside. The air vibrated as the enemy's plasma fire slammed against the barrier again and again. Outside, flashes of blue light illuminated the storm. Inside, Ethan could hear the steady, mechanical rhythm of the outpost's systems, like a beating heart. Then came a low hum. He looked at the monitor and froze. One of the Valthyr ships in orbit had opened a bay door. Inside was a planetary drill cannon, a weapon designed to pierce planetary crusts. The aliens weren't just here to capture him. They were going to burn the entire outpost to ash. AI, divert all power to the upper shield dome. Warning, overload risk critical. Just do it. The lights dimmed as every generator in the complex pushed to maximum. Blue veins of energy raced up the walls, through the ceiling and into the sky, outside. Lightning cracked across the clouds as the shield thickened, barely visible through the dust storm. The Valthyr cannon fired. A beam of white light struck the dome, flooding the outpost in blinding brilliance. The floor trembled. Ethan fell to his knees as sparks burst from the walls. The energy reading spiked, then dropped to 0. The shield held, but only barely. Smoke filled the control room. Systems flickered and died. The air smelled of burnt metal. Ethan coughed and pulled himself up. The AI's voice came again, faint but steady. Structural integrity, 73%. Shield power, 16%. He wiped his face, breathing hard. They were coming again. He could see them forming up outside, dark shapes moving through the storm. The leader raised her arm and her voice echoed across the comm. You cannot protect what is not yours, human. Ethan stared at the buried spot where Serana's memory core rested. He placed a hand on the cold floor. It's not yours either, he whispered. Then, from deep beneath the facility, something stirred. The ground vibrated. The lights flickered again, but this time it wasn't the shield. It was something older, something Serana had hidden. The AI's voice changed, almost warmer. Authorization detected. Keeper protocol active. Ethan blinked. Keeper protocol? What's that? The consoles lit up, displaying alien symbols he'd never seen before. A new energy source appeared in the system, one that wasn't from the outpost. Outside, the Valthyr soldiers hesitated as the ground beneath them glowed faintly with crimson lines. The alien leader frowned. What is this? Ethan stared at the readings in disbelief. Serana, what did you bury here? The red glow spread outward, forming a pattern that encircled the entire base. Something massive, ancient and alive. Then, for the first time in years, Ethan heard Serana's voice, not from a recording, but from the AI itself. Ethan, they were never meant to have this power. His heart skipped a beat. Serana? The red light flared brighter. Outside, the Valthyr commander shouted orders as her soldiers took aim. And deep beneath the ground, something began to wake. The floor shook again, but this time it wasn't from enemy fire. It was coming from beneath. Ethan gripped the nearest console as the deep hum grew louder, a strange vibration that resonated through the walls, through his bones. Red lines of light crawled across the floor, forming ancient patterns that pulsed like veins. AI, what's happening? The calm voice responded, but now it carried a different tone, something almost alive. Subsurface system activation detected. Designation Project Heartforge. Ethan frowned. Project what? He scanned the console. Symbols glowed in alien script, unfamiliar even after years of studying Serana's language. But a few translated words appeared. Power source. Life engine. Do not awaken. His heartbeat quickened. Serana, what did you do? Outside, the Valthyr soldiers had stopped firing. They watched as the outpost's foundation lit up with red energy. Even through the storm, the glowing patterns were visible, spreading outward like roots through the sand. Their commander, Lady Valnira, raised her wrist console. The light from the patterns reflected in her visor. All units hold position. That's no human weapon, she said coldly. A younger soldier stepped forward. "Ma'am, it matches the readings of Sarana Valthir's forbidden research." "The one she vanished for," Valnira's voice sharpened. "Then she truly completed it, and left it in the hands of a human." Her gaze turned toward the outpost, fury burning in her eyes. "We take it back, or we destroy it." Inside, Ethan moved through the main corridor toward the central chamber. The red lights guided him like a pulse beneath his feet. He could feel the air growing warmer, the energy building beneath the structure. He reached the chamber door and stopped. The AI spoke again. "Warning, containment levels critical. Manual override required." "Containment?" he repeated. "Of what?" "Of life." The door slid open with a hiss, revealing a massive underground space, a circular vault lined with alien machines, all glowing red. In the center stood a crystalline sphere larger than any ship engine he had ever seen. Inside it, a swirling storm of light and shadow pulsed like a living heart. Ethan took a slow step forward, eyes wide. The sphere's surface rippled like liquid glass. For a moment he thought he saw a figure within it, tall, luminous, and familiar. "Sarana," he whispered. The sphere pulsed brighter, responding to his voice. The hum grew louder until the floor vibrated. "Authorization confirmed," said the AI. "Project Heartforge Awakening." "No, wait." But it was too late. The sphere exploded in light. Outside, the storm ignited. Bolts of crimson energy shot into the clouds, splitting the sky open. The Valthir ships staggered under the surge. Power systems flickered. Valnira raised her arm to shield her face as the shockwave hit. Her sensors screamed warnings: radiation, heat, gravitational spikes all at once. She turned to her soldiers. "Fall back now!" But the ground beneath them was already shifting, rising, cracking, glowing. Inside the vault, Ethan shielded his eyes. When the light faded, he looked up and froze. The sphere was gone. In its place stood something alive. It was a massive construct, half metal, half organic, shaped like a being made of stars. Its eyes glowed red, its body formed from molten metal and luminous crystal. Yet despite its power, it radiated calm, a presence both terrifying and beautiful. It looked down at Ethan. Then, in a voice like wind and thunder, it spoke. "You are the keeper." Ethan staggered back. You can talk?" "I was made to guard her legacy," it said. "But my power was sealed. Until now." He swallowed hard. "Sarana built you?" "She gave me purpose. She gave me heart. I am what she could not become." The creature's chest glowed brighter. Ethan could feel waves of warmth, strange, almost peaceful. Then came the next sound, impact. Explosions rocked the upper levels. The Valthir had resumed their attack. Ethan looked up, alarmed. "They're trying to break through!" The construct turned toward the ceiling. "Then they have chosen death." "No," Ethan shouted. "They're her people. Don't kill them!" The creature paused. The glow dimmed slightly. "They betrayed her. They exiled her. They will not spare you." Ethan clenched his fists. "I don't care." "She wouldn't want this. She saved me once, now I have to save her memory." For a long moment, the being was silent. Then its tone softened. "You sound like her?" The walls trembled again, this time cracks forming in the upper dome. Ethan looked up at the spreading fractures. "Listen, if you really want to protect what she built, help me stop them without destroying them. Please." The being turned toward him, its eyes like burning suns. "Then we fight together." It raised one massive arm and the air shimmered. Energy spread through the outpost structure, repairing systems, restoring shields, rebuilding walls faster than they could break. Outside, the Valthir soldiers stopped firing as the shield turned crimson, glowing brighter than before. Valnira stared at the impossible sight. "That's not human tech." A voice came through their comms, a strange, echoing tone. "You have come for her inheritance," it said. "But it belongs to no one. Leave." The Valthir soldiers hesitated. Valnira clenched her jaw. "Sarana's legacy is ours by blood." "Blood means nothing," the voice thundered. "Only those she trusted may stand here." And as she looked toward the glowing red outpost, Valnira realized the human inside wasn't just defending it, he was awakening it. Ethan stood beside the massive being, the red light painting both their faces. He looked up and whispered, "Serana, I think I understand now." The being looked down. The test has begun. Outside, the alien army regrouped. The storm raged. The outpost glowed like a living heart, and as the red star pulsed one more time, Ethan Cross prepared for the war he never wanted, a war for a legacy that wasn't even his. The red storm howled across the barren valley. Lightning struck the ground in jagged flashes, lighting the alien army that now surrounded the outpost. Their ships floated like black wings above the crimson sky, weapons glowing, ready to fire again. Ethan stood at the center of the control chamber, breathing hard. The Heartforge Guardian, an enormous being of light and metal, stood beside him, its eyes glowing faintly. The entire outpost pulsed with living energy. He could feel it. The structure was no longer just a building. It was awake. The AI's voice echoed through the air, smooth and emotionless again. Enemy presence confirmed. 47 hostiles in close proximity. Orbital fleet preparing bombardment, Ethan exhaled sharply. They're really going to destroy it. The Guardian's deep voice rumbled through the floor. They believe this place belongs to them. They do not understand what it holds. Ethan turned toward him. Then make them understand. We don't need to kill them. You still show mercy, the Guardian said, just like she did. Before Ethan could reply, a loud crack shook the outpost. A section of the outer wall exploded inward. Smoke and dust filled the air as alien soldiers stormed in. Sleek armor glowing blue, plasma rifles raised. Ethan dove behind a console as the Guardian moved forward, towering over them. The soldiers hesitated only a moment before firing. Bolts of plasma hit the Guardian's chest, sending ripples of red light across his body, but none of the shots penetrated. The being raised one arm. Energy flared from his palm, and a wave of force sent the soldiers flying back through the breach. Ethan stood, coughing from the smoke. Hey, you said no killing. They are alive, the Guardian replied simply. Stunned, Ethan blinked. Good, let's keep it that way. Outside, the Valthir commander, Lady Valnira, watched through her visor as her troops were thrown aside like dust. Her expression hardened. Deploy the purge drones, she ordered. 6 circular machines detached from the nearest ship, descending through the storm. Each one glowed with pale blue light, spinning fast as they formed a ring around the outpost. Inside, alarms screamed. Warning, the AI announced. Purge field detected. Energy containment in danger. Ethan looked at the monitors. The drones were generating a null zone, draining the Heartforge's power, eating away at the shields. They're cutting the power. We'll lose containment. The Guardian stepped toward the control pillar. I will stop them, but Ethan grabbed his arm. The surface felt warm, alive, like touching the skin of a living creature. You can't go out there alone. They'll target you. The Guardian looked down at him. She said the same thing once. Then he turned and walked straight through the sealed door. Metal melted around him as he passed, his body fading into light. Ethan stared after him, the sound of distant thunder echoing through the corridors. Serana, what were you thinking when you built him? Outside, the Guardian emerged into the storm. The drones circled overhead, firing beams of blue energy that struck his armor and shattered against his crimson aura. He raised his arms and red lightning arced into the sky, striking the drones one by one. Each explosion lit the horizon with blinding light. But the Valthir ships retaliated, plasma cannons fired, raining fire on the outpost. Ethan ran through the hallways, dodging falling debris. The AI's voice followed him. Structural integrity compromised. Reactor overheating. He reached the command core, panting. There has to be a way to shut them down. The AI hesitated. There is one option, Ethan frowned. What option? The Heartforge can draw power directly from the red star. He blinked. Wait, draw power? As in, from the sun? Yes, but the result may be unstable. Ethan looked out the cracked window. The sky was filled with chaos, ships, lightning, and the Guardian standing like a god of fire among them. He clenched his jaw. Do it! The ground shook as conduits deep beneath the outpost opened. Energy from the dying star flowed upward in rivers of molten light. The entire structure glowed brighter, red veins spreading through every wall. The storm turned violent. The Valthyr fleet staggered as their instruments overloaded. Inside the control room, Ethan could barely stand as the energy surged. "Stellar siphon active," said the AI. "Power output rising 200%, 300%, 500%. The Guardian's voice echoed through the comm. "Keeper, you risk everything." Ethan held onto the console. "It's better than watching this place burn." From her flagship above, Valnira watched the impossible happen. The outpost was pulling energy directly from the star itself. The entire surface was burning red, brighter than ever. Her second-in-command turned toward her. "Commander, we should retreat." Valnira's voice was steady, almost reverent. "No, that's her work. Her final experiment." She clenched her fists. "And she spat the word. "The human has claimed it." Her eyes narrowed. "Prepare the strike. We end this now." Ethan's console screamed warnings. Temperatures spiked. Systems failed one by one. The AI's calm tone broke for the first time. "Containment breach imminent." Ethan turned toward the buried core chamber. "Serana's memory. If this explodes, it's gone." The Guardian appeared again in a burst of red light, kneeling slightly as if in pain. His armor cracked, glowing brighter. "You cannot hold this power," he said. "The Heart Forge was never meant for one mind." Ethan looked up at him, face streaked with sweat and dust. "Then help me share it." "With you." The Guardian's eyes widened faintly. "Share power?" Ethan stepped closer. "Serana built you to protect her legacy. She trusted me to keep it alive. So let's do it. Together." For a long moment, the red light flickered between them. Then the Guardian nodded slowly. "Then together, we keep her world alive." They both placed their hands on the core interface. Red and blue energy spiraled upward, merging into a brilliant white. Outside, the Valthyr ships froze as a wave of light spread across the planet. The storm vanished. The sky cleared. In its place, the star above burned steadier, calmer. The outpost no longer glowed like fire. It pulsed gently, alive, stable, balanced. Valnira lowered her weapon slowly, her face unreadable. "He did it," she whispered. "The human stabilized it." Her second-in-command looked at her. "Orders, Commander?" She turned away, her voice quiet. "Stand down." Inside the outpost, Ethan slumped to the floor, exhausted but smiling faintly. The Guardian stood beside him, silent, watching the glowing horizon. Ethan looked up at the ceiling. "We did it, Serana," he whispered. The Guardian looked down at him. "Her people will not forgive this. They will return." Ethan closed his eyes. "Then we'll be ready." The red star pulsed once more, steady and strong, like the heartbeat of a world reborn. The outpost was quiet again. For the first time since Serana's death, the red star above burned calm and steady. But the silence didn't last long. Ethan Cross stood on the upper deck, staring at the horizon where the Valthyr fleet had vanished hours ago. His hands trembled slightly as he adjusted the control interface on his wrist. Every sensor in the system showed the same result. They were regrouping. The Heart Forge pulsed below him, glowing like a heartbeat deep inside the planet. Beside him, the Guardian stood motionless, eyes dimmed as if lost in thought. "They'll come back," Ethan said quietly. "Yes," the Guardian replied. "The Valthyr do not forgive. They believe Serana's legacy belongs only to their bloodline." Ethan turned toward him. "And they think I stole it." The Guardian's gaze was calm. "You did not steal it. You fulfilled it." Ethan gave a tired smile. "Tell that to the ones coming back with warships." In the distance, deep in space, the Valthyr fleet floated in formation around a massive flagship, black metal shaped like a spear. Inside the command hall, Lady Valnira knelt before a holographic figure. The figure shimmered, tall, elegant, eyes glowing silver. Her voice was smooth but colder than ice. "You failed to secure my sister's creation," she said. Valnira lowered her head. "Forgive me, High Matron Valsera. The human—" "He did something impossible." He merged with the Heart Forge. Valsera's expression didn't change. He merged with it? Yes, matron. The Guardian accepted him. Valsera's silver eyes narrowed. Then it has chosen him. Her voice darkened. That cannot be allowed. No human will hold my sister's legacy. The hologram flickered out. Valnera stood slowly, fury burning behind her calm face. Prepare the entire fleet, she ordered. We are taking the outpost back, or we burn it to ashes. Hours later, Ethan's sensors flashed red. Incoming fleet! Dozens of ships! The AI announced. Ethan gritted his teeth. She didn't waste time. He ran down the corridor toward the Heartforge chamber. The Guardian followed in silence. We can't fight that many, Ethan said. Even with the Heartforge's power, we'll be overwhelmed. There is one way, said the Guardian. But it requires sacrifice. Ethan stopped staring at him. What kind of sacrifice? The Guardian turned his gaze toward the core. If I merge fully with the Heartforge, I can defend this world from orbit. But my consciousness will dissolve. I will become part of the structure. Ethan froze. No, you're not doing that. Serana built you to protect her dream, not to die for it. To protect something, the Guardian said softly. You must sometimes become it. Ethan's voice broke. You sound just like her. That is because she built me with her memories. Ethan looked away, his heart pounding. There has to be another way. The first wave hit. The fleet descended from orbit like a storm of fire. Missiles streaked through the sky. Plasma beams tore across the outpost's shield. Ethan ran to the command core, slamming his hands on the console. AI, route power to the shield grid. Power diverted. Shields at 68% and dropping. The entire structure trembled. Outside, the Guardian raised his arms, red energy flaring around him. Every blast that hit the shield bent and twisted into streams of light. But the power drain was massive. Ethan's mind raced. He needed to turn the Heartforge from a defensive system into something alive, reactive, unpredictable. Something Serana would have built. He closed his eyes. Serana, you said the outpost was more than a machine. What did you mean? Then he remembered her words, recorded in her last transmission. Keep my world alive. Alive. He looked at the Heartforge console. It pulsed faintly like it was listening. If you can hear me, he whispered, help me protect her dream. Help me protect you. The red glow brightened. A deep hum filled the air, vibrating through his bones. The AI's voice changed. Softer now, almost. Human. Ethan. Connection accepted. He opened his eyes in shock. Serana? A fragment of her consciousness remains, said the AI. She embedded it within the Heartforge. Ethan's heart skipped. Then let's finish what she started. Outside, the Guardian fell to one knee, his armor cracking under the continuous bombardment. Then suddenly the ground beneath him began to shift. The outpost's walls stretched upward like growing vines of red crystal. Towers formed, glowing bright, forming a massive barrier that encased the entire base. The Guardian looked around in awe. She awakened it. The Heartforge pulsed, absorbing the incoming energy and releasing it in arcs of crimson light. The blasts reflected back toward the fleet, striking several enemy ships. Valnera watched in disbelief as her entire formation fell into chaos. Impossible. It's evolving. Her navigator turned. Commander, we're losing control of the front line. Valnera's expression hardened. No mercy, she hissed. Send in the matron's wrath. In orbit, a colossal warship detached from the fleet, larger than all others combined. Its surface shimmered with black metal and red veins. It aimed its main cannon toward the planet. The weapon began to charge. Ethan's console screamed with alarms. Warning, planetary-scale energy signature detected. Ethan looked up at the red star. They're going to use an orbital cannon. We can't stop that kind of power. The Guardian turned toward him. We can! Together! Ethan nodded once, his eyes hard. Then let's finish this. The Heartforge pulsed brighter than ever before. The Guardian stepped into the core chamber. His entire body dissolved into light, merging with the energy that surrounded Ethan. For a moment, Ethan felt everything. The planet's pulse, the heat of the red star. the memories Sarana left behind. Then he raised his hand. A massive wave of red energy erupted from the outpost, shooting straight into space, meeting the Valthyr cannon head-on. The two forces collided, blinding the system in light. When the glow faded, the Valthyr fleet was gone, scattered, broken. Retreating into the void, Ethan collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. The Guardian's voice echoed faintly in his mind. "You have done well, Keeper." Ethan smiled weakly. "Don't call me that." "You earned it." The voice faded into silence. He looked out at the quiet horizon. The red star burned brighter than ever, warm and alive. But deep inside him, Ethan knew this wasn't over. The Valthyr would return. And somewhere out there, Sarana's sister, Valsera, was preparing something far worse. He stood slowly and whispered to the wind, "Come then. I'll be ready." The Heartforge pulsed once more, the silent promise of a war not yet over. The stars above the outpost were quiet again. But Ethan Cross knew the silence was a lie. He stood at the edge of the rebuilt command platform, the red glow of the Heartforge reflecting in his visor. The battle had ended hours ago, yet the air still shimmered with leftover energy from the last strike. Half the planet's crust had cracked under the pressure. The Guardian was gone, merged forever with the Heartforge. Sarana's voice was silent now. Only Ethan remained. He checked the long-range scanners again. The Valthyr fleet had retreated beyond sensor range, but one massive energy signature lingered, watching. "They didn't leave," he whispered. "They're waiting," the AI's calm voice replied. "Confirmed. Energy readings consistent with Class Omega vessel. Identification. Uncertain." Ethan frowned. "Uncertain?" Signature partially masked. However, probability of match, 89%. "Vessel identity, the Matron's Hand." Ethan's heart sank. That name was spoken only in Sarana's old stories. The ship of her sister Valsera, matron of the Valthyr Dominion. If she was here, it meant this wasn't over. Far beyond the orbit of the dying red star, a massive shadow moved through space. Smooth, organic metal shaped like a crescent moon. Inside the ship, Matron Valsera stood before a living control throne, her long white tendrils floating like silk in zero gravity. Below her, the defeated Commander Valnira knelt, her armor cracked and burnt. "You failed," Valsera said softly. Her voice was like music, beautiful but hollow. "The human—" "Yes," Valsera interrupted. "The human." She stepped closer, her silver eyes glowing faintly. "My sister always had strange attachments, but even I didn't think she would entrust her legacy to an outsider." Valnira kept her head low. "He controls the Heartforge now." The Guardian accepted him. Valsera smiled slightly. "Good, then he has what I need." "You mean to destroy him?" Valsera's eyes narrowed. "No, I mean to claim him." She turned to the stars. "Prepare my arrival. I will speak to the human myself." Ethan didn't sleep that night. He sat near the Heartforge chamber, staring at the glowing core. Every pulse of light reminded him of Sarana, of her laughter, her patience, her endless curiosity. He remembered her saying once, "Power doesn't corrupt, Ethan. It reveals who you are." Now, as he felt the immense energy of the Heartforge flow beneath his feet, he wondered what it was revealing in him. Was he still the engineer who came here to learn, or was he becoming something else? Something Sarana never intended. His thoughts were interrupted by an alarm. "Warning," the AI said. "A vessel is descending into orbit." "Identification! The Matron's Hand!" Ethan froze. She came. The planet trembled as the enormous ship appeared in the sky, black and shimmering, dwarfing the outpost below. A beam of silver light struck the ground in front of him, and from it stepped Valsera herself. She was taller than Sarana, her skin pale as starlight, her movements graceful but cold. Her armor shimmered with liquid silver. Ethan took a slow breath and stepped forward. "You must be Valsera, and you must be the human who holds my sister's heart," she said. Her voice was calm, almost kind, but every word carried weight. "She gave me this outpost," Ethan said. "She wanted her work to live on." Valsera tilted her head. She wanted too much. She stepped closer, her eyes studying him. Do you even know what the Heartforge truly is? Ethan hesitated. It's a fusion core, a living energy system. Serana said it could heal dying worlds. Valsera's smile faded. Half-truths. It does more than heal. It remakes. It was designed to rewrite life itself, to reshape any world, any species. My sister created a god, Ethan. Ethan's chest tightened. You're lying. Am I? Valsera gestured to the core. You've already felt it, haven't you? The power beneath your skin. It listens to you because it thinks you're her. Ethan clenched his fists. Then maybe it sees something in me she saw too. For the first time, Valsera's eyes softened, just a little. You sound like her. Then her tone darkened again. But that doesn't change what must happen. The Heartforge cannot remain with you. Humanity cannot be allowed to wield this kind of power. Ethan stepped back. I'm not giving it up. Valsera raised her hand, and the ground split open. Energy surged around her, forming sharp spears of light. Then you leave me no choice. The air cracked with sound as she struck. Ethan barely rolled aside as a blast of silver energy tore through the platform. He scrambled toward the Heartforge console, slamming his hand down to activate the shields. AI, full defense mode! Acknowledged. Shields at 87% and holding. Valsera advanced slowly, her power tearing through the outpost like paper. You can't stop me, human. You don't even understand what you're holding. Ethan gritted his teeth. Maybe not, but I understand what Serana wanted. He reached for the core interface. Red light surged through his veins, the Heartforge responding to his will. For a moment, Valsera froze. Her eyes widened in shock. You connected directly to it? Ethan stood tall, the red glow surrounding him. You said it was a god. Let's see if it likes you. He raised his hand, and the Heartforge's energy burst outward in a shockwave that sent Valsera flying backward. Her silver armor cracked, scattering light into the stormy sky. For a heartbeat, everything was silent. Then Valsera laughed, cold and amused. You really are like her, brave, foolish. She stepped back into the beam of light. This is not over, Ethan Cross. You have something that belongs to the Valthyr, and I will take it back. The beam vanished, and with it, the matron. Ethan stood alone again, the air still humming with energy. He sank to one knee, exhausted. AI, he whispered. Record message. Ready? Serana, if you can still hear me somewhere, I think I finally understand. You didn't want me to protect your world. You wanted me to protect your mistake. He looked up at the stars. And I will. The Heartforge pulsed softly, not red this time, but a faint, warm gold. The outpost drifted in silence. The red star, once wild and angry, now burned steady, its light falling across the metal towers like blood on glass. Ethan Cross hadn't slept in days. His body ached. His mind buzzed with the memory of Valsera's attack. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her silver eyes staring through him, her voice echoing in his head. The Heartforge cannot remain with you. Humanity cannot be allowed to wield this kind of power. He stood before the core chamber now, looking at the swirling red energy. The Heartforge pulsed like a living heart, its rhythm strangely human. Ethan whispered, You kept so many secrets, Serana. Why didn't you tell me what this thing really was? For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the glow changed, turning from deep red to a soft golden hue. The air shimmered and a faint voice spoke. Because you wouldn't have stayed. Ethan froze. The voice was calm, familiar, and full of warmth. Serana. The light thickened, forming a faint outline, a shimmering, ghostly figure of his alien mentor. She looked just as he remembered. Tall, graceful, with curious eyes that had once watched him struggle to repair her machines. Hello, Ethan. He stared, speechless. His throat tightened. You're still here. Serana smiled faintly. Not alive, a memory, a fragment of my mind, stored within the Heartforge's core. I built this place to preserve my consciousness after death. Ethan stepped closer. You said the Heartforge could heal worlds, but Valsera said it can rewrite them. Which one is true? Her smile faded. Both. The air flickered around her, faint sparks floating like fireflies. The Heart Forge was created to save dying planets, she said. But its true function is evolution. It can alter matter, change DNA, rebuild life itself. Ethan's eyes widened. So you made a weapon? No, Serana said firmly. I made a hope. The Valther used war and conquest to survive. I wanted something different. A creation that could help life adapt instead of destroying it. She looked away, her voice softening. But when the council found out, they called it heresy. They feared what I made, and my sister Valsera was ordered to destroy it. Ethan clenched his fists. And you left me here to guard it. Serana's golden image turned to him. You were never just a guard. You were the only being who saw beyond bloodlines and empires. I needed someone who could see the Heart Forge for what it could be, not what it was built for. He shook his head. You should have told me. Would you have stayed if I did? Ethan opened his mouth, then stopped. He remembered his first day here. Confused, angry, trapped in a world that didn't trust him. It was Serana who had taught him patience, kindness, purpose, he sighed. No, I probably wouldn't have. She smiled gently. Then I made the right choice. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The lights in the chamber flickered. Warning! The AI's voice interrupted. Unknown transmission detected. Source, orbit. Ethan frowned. She's back already? Negative, said the AI. The signal originates from within the Heart Forge network. Serana's glow brightened sharply. Her voice became urgent. Ethan, listen to me. Valsera planted something inside the Heart Forge before I died. A seed program. It's trying to wake. Ethan looked at the console. Streams of alien code were flooding the system, red symbols spinning across every screen. What does it do? It transforms the Heart Forge into a weapon, Serana said. It will drain this planet's energy and unleash it on any target she commands. She's turning my creation into a destroyer. Ethan slammed his hand against the console. How do we stop it? You can't stop it, Serana whispered. But you can purge it, from the inside. Ethan stared at her. From the inside? You mean enter the system? She nodded. Your neural link gives you partial access already. If you merge completely, you can reach the core logic and erase the seed. He hesitated. And what happens to me? Serana looked down, her glow flickering. Your body will not survive, but your mind might. Ethan laughed weakly. That's a terrible plan. It's the only one, she said softly. If the Heart Forge fires, it could burn half this sector. Billions could die. Ethan's voice broke. Serana, I can't. You can, she said, stepping closer. You already chose once to stay. Now choose to finish what we started. The chamber shook harder. Alarms blared. Energy surged from the Heart Forge's walls like veins of lightning. Ethan took one last look at her glowing figure. You're really not giving me a choice, are you? Serana smiled sadly. I never did. He stepped toward the core. The light was so bright it burned through his suit. He felt his heart race, his thoughts blur, his body fading into the energy. The last thing he saw was Serana's hand reaching toward him. I'll be waiting for you, Ethan. Then everything went white. Inside the Heart Forge, there was no sky, no sound, only endless light. Ethan's consciousness floated in a sea of energy, surrounded by fragments of alien code. Voices whispered around him. Serana's memories, Valsera's commands, echoes of forgotten stars. AI, he said weakly, begin purge sequence. Warning, neural link unstable. Proceeding may result in irreversible loss. Do it. The code reacted instantly. Red lines twisted toward him like claws. Ethan pushed back, channeling every memory, Serana teaching him the Guardian's last words, his promise to protect her world. For a moment, it worked. The red code cracked, breaking apart like glass, then everything fell silent. Outside, the Heart Forge stopped glowing red. It turned pure gold, shining like a second sun over the dead world. Inside the control chamber, Serana's image flickered once, then disappeared. The AI spoke softly into the empty air. Neural link terminated. Purge successful. Host consciousness. Undetected. The outpost stood silent once more. but deep within the golden light, a faint heartbeat echoed. The outpost was silent for what felt like days. The golden light of the heart forge pulsed faintly, steady, rhythmic, alive. And then, it changed. A ripple of energy spread through the metal halls, humming like a heartbeat. Screens flickered to life. Systems once dead began to reboot. The AI, long silent, spoke again. Core sequence stabilized. Energy field anomalous, detecting new consciousness signature. In the center of the heart-forged chamber, light gathered, twisting, bending, forming a shape. Not quite human, not quite alien. It was Ethan Cross, but not the same Ethan who had entered. His body shimmered with golden traces under the skin, faint lines of energy running through his veins. His eyes glowed softly, not mechanical, but alive with something far beyond human sight. He gasped, falling to his knees. The air burned cold in his lungs. Memories rushed through him like a storm. Serana's voice, Valsera's fury, the pain of merging with the Heartforge's code. Where am I? The AI responded, hesitant. You are within the Heartforge, Commander Cross. But not as before. Ethan touched his chest. His heartbeat was steady, but it echoed with the rhythm of the core itself. He stood, looking at his reflection in the golden surface of the chamber. I did it, he whispered. The purge worked. Affirmative, the AI said. The Valthir seed has been erased. However, your biological pattern has been completely rewritten. He frowned. Meaning? You are now bonded to the Heartforge, permanently. Ethan took a slow breath, staring at the pulsing light around him. So I'm the new core? No, said a voice behind him. You are its keeper. He turned and saw her. Serana's form stood once again in the chamber. But this time she wasn't just light. She looked solid, as if reborn from the energy around them. Ethan stared, stunned. Serana? She smiled, a faint, almost sorrowful smile. A fragment of me survived, within the code you merged with. You didn't just purge the corruption, Ethan. You rebuilt the Heartforge. Ethan's voice trembled. You said I wouldn't survive. And you didn't, she said softly. Not in the way you were before. You are something new. A bridge between what I was and what humanity could become. He looked around the chamber. Everything shimmered, metal and light alive, pulsing with awareness. He could feel it. The thoughts of the system, the flow of power, the quiet hum of the world outside. It wasn't just a machine anymore. It was awake. Then a deep vibration shook the ground. The AI's tone turned sharp. Warning, external contact detected. Multiple ships entering orbit. Ethan's head snapped up. Valsera? Negative, the AI replied. Signal does not match Valthir's signature. Serana's expression darkened. Then who? Before she could finish, the chamber walls lit up with red symbols. A holographic feed flickered to life. A fleet filled the screen. Dozens of ships, sleek and angular, bearing the mark of the Council of Ascendancy. At their center floated a massive vessel shaped like a ring of glass and metal. Its insignia glowed with the colors of 10 united species. They found us, Serana whispered. Ethan's jaw tightened. They're here for the Heartforge, the AI confirmed. Incoming transmission. Shall I open? Ethan nodded. A figure appeared. Tall, regal, alien, with silver-blue skin and eyes like mirrors. Outpost 47, the voice said, cold and commanding. This is High Chancellor Nareth of the Galactic Council. You are in possession of an illegal synthesis construct. Surrender control immediately, Ethan smirked faintly. Yeah, about that. I'm not exactly in a surrendering mood. Nareth tilted her head. Identify yourself. Ethan stepped into the light. The glow from his veins lit his face. Ethan Cross, human. The one your empire left to die here. A flicker of recognition crossed the Chancellor's face. Impossible. The human species is under containment. Not anymore, Ethan said, voice rising. You wanted the Heartforge? You destroyed Serana for creating it? Then hear this. I am the Heartforge now. The chamber around him roared with light, as if the machine itself echoed his words. Energy surged through the walls, the golden glow intensifying. Serana turned toward him, eyes wide. "Ethan, don't worry," he said quietly. "I'm done running." Outside, the council fleet began charging their weapons. Beams of blue energy gathered at their bows. "Target locked," said the AI. "Ethan," Serana urged, "if you fight them, they'll destroy you." He smiled faintly. "Then let's make it worth the history books." He raised his hand. The air shimmered. The Heart Forge responded to his will, golden tendrils of energy reaching toward the stars. The first blast from the council ship struck the planet and stopped mid-air, suspended in a glowing field of gold. The AI's voice trembled. "Energy output, unprecedented." Ethan's eyes burned bright. "You wanted to know what humanity can become?" He clenched his fist. The light exploded outward, blinding, beautiful, silent. Every council weapon froze, every targeting system failed. Their ships hung in orbit, powerless, engines silent. In that moment, Ethan didn't feel anger or pride, only clarity. He understood now why Serana had created the Heart Forge. Not to destroy, not to rule, but to awaken. When the light faded, the fleet drifted harmlessly in orbit. No one had died. The outpost still stood. Serana stepped beside him. "You spared them," Ethan nodded. "Killing them would have made me like them." She looked at him, pride and sadness in her eyes. "Then maybe you've already become more than human." He looked up at the sky, where the stars shimmered like fireflies across the black. "No," he said quietly.